Heated Shenanigans, working stiffer than mannequins. Vader time like a mannequin. Mega powers, I'm savage and peep the babbling. Got 'em shook off the verbal acumen. I'm the main event, meaning nobody coming after him. The topics we be tackling, ankle locking and tapping them. I hate seafood, but I might throw the Boston crab on them. You know sometimes it gets heated. You know sometimes it gets heated.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back into Heated Shenanigans Podcast. I'm your host, Scott, and you know we love to get extreme on this channel, on this podcast, because joining me today is one half of the legendary Pitbulls ECW tag team, the Mr. Gary Wolfe. Gary, sir, how are you doing?
Today I'm very tired. I was in Pompano Lakes, Florida last night for Championship Wrestling Florida, which is a new company that are opening. Kevin Sullivan booked me. We did our 7th television show. Hopefully we're going to be on TV soon.
Good.
It's long night and long morning.
Hey, I've had quite a few of those recently here myself. We are on Super Sunday. The Super Bowl is today.
Awesome.
Gary, are you a big football fan?
I'm a diehard football fan.
Steelers?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I've been a Steeler fan since I was a kid. I'm talking Jack Lambert, Rocky Blyer, Jack Ham, Lynn Swan, all them guys, bro. That's my team.
I know quite a few Pittsburgh fans. I love the NFL. I love watching every year. This Super Bowl is a little bit hard to get into. I'm not really too big on either team. You got any predictions for the game today, Gary?
I'm actually excited for the game. I just hope it's a good game, and I think it's going to be a tight game. I think this is going to be a good game tonight. Last year's I wasn't too fond of. I don't know. You just didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? But this year you got San Francisco, who's playing excellent. And you got the Kansas City Chiefs, who, this is what the 4th one they've been in already in 5 years, I think.
So they've won 2 out of 4 already?
I think so, yes.
Say the big X Factor, the Taylor Swift X Factor. A lot of people, Gary, I got to get your take on this. A lot of people think if the Chiefs were to win today, Travis is going to propose to Taylor on the field. Do you think that happens? A lot of people think that.
Well, being in that situation, a pro football player and an artist that like she is, there's no better place, I think, in the world that you could propose to be getting married. At a Super Bowl. That's amazing. And they'll probably do it on the field. So, like I said, I think this Super Bowl is going to be interesting. Could be, at least. And Taylor, she's been dating all these young kids and young guys. She finally found a man. And you could tell by looking at her, man, she's in love, man. You know what I'm saying? So I wish them both luck. His brother plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, which is my second favorite team. And they're really good, down-to-earth guys, and they have a really good family. And I think it would help Taylor Swift be more humble, with her career, make her more likable.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. Now, we'll transition here into some professional wrestling talk. Gary, I'm sure you have been asked this a blue million times, but we'll make it a blue million and one here. You were involved in the famous Halo incident with the franchise Shane Douglas. Your neck was unfortunately broken in that real-life situation here. Looking back, Gary, look at that angle. How are you feeling about it all these years later?
I'm going to tell you the honest to God truth, and I've had veterans tell me this, plus new people. That was the best angle in ECW. Even though ECW had tremendous, great angles and rivalries, but him breaking my neck and when he threw me down with the halo, having people jump over the guardrail to attack Shane Douglas and Francine, that's called white heat, brother. And I don't know, between you and me, I don't know any other match that people have jumped the guardrail and tried to attack a heel, so.
That the shaking of the halo and throwing you down, that might have been the most vile act of a heel, like just as a human being in general.
Yes. Yeah, it was scary. I mean, because I broke my neck. I rehabbed. The doctor told me 6 months, but I gave myself 8 months. And having Rick Rude bring me back in to kick the franchise ass was awesome. I couldn't be more happy. But it was a scary thing, man. I broke it on a Saturday night. It was my fault. I took a bad bump from Shane, and I didn't know my neck was broken until Monday. When I went to my chiropractor, and he wrote out a prescription because he said, "You don't look right. Something's wrong." And I thought I just jammed my neck. I'd never jammed my neck, so I didn't know what I did. In my mind, if you break your neck, you're either paralyzed or dead. That's what I was thinking. So once my doctor gave me the prescription and I went to give CAT scan at the hospital in Philadelphia, I mean, literally they pulled me in the back to get the x-ray because they realized it was a neck x-ray. And before you know it, within 5 minutes, they came out of the x-ray room and started strapping me down to the table. And I'm like, I need to get up and take a leak. You mind if I go to the bathroom? And they're like, you can't get up. Your neck's broke. I'm like, look, I drove my car here. Okay. Now, if I drove my car here, which was crazy, I didn't realize, they didn't even believe that. I had to show my valet ticket, but they told me, you ain't getting up. You ain't going nowhere. We're going to admit you into a room. And the top spinal cord surgeon, Dr. Vaccaro, came in, and that's when he told me what was going on, and it was pretty scary at that point.
Now, have you had any side effects or long-term issues from that broken neck?
Oh, absolutely. I have very bad arthritis. Every time I turn my neck, every once in a blue moon, you'll hear a crack. You know what I mean? Because it's all scar tissue. A lot of memory loss. Sometimes I'll be like during this interview, if I stop, that means I forgot what I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? But that has to do with a lot of concussions from ECW as well.
Yeah, the sad part is there's a lot of wrestlers currently that have suffered from concussion, memory loss, and undiagnosed injuries. I mean, you said that you didn't even know it was broken, and it makes you wonder, like, how many other wrestlers had serious injuries that maybe went untreated because they didn't know, because they never, like you said, never felt that type of pain.
I'll give you an example. Kurt Angle, he won a gold medal, okay, with a broken neck. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he didn't know his neck was broken, but it had just so happened me and him had the same. The doctor told me straight up, what saved my life was my muscle. Once I broke the neck, all my traps, my back, everything just went like this, super tight. So instead of the disc, going like this, it just broke like that. And it stayed in that position. So I didn't have to get surgery. I didn't have to get fused, which I was very, very, very lucky because my career could have been over at that point. They just told me, I have to put a halo on you before I let you out of this hospital because you need 6 weeks to heal because it's a bone. When you break a bone, it takes 6 weeks to heal. And me being a wrestler, I was like, I've seen people with halos on. That freaks me out. I said, there's no way I'm going to put a halo on. And, you know, what they did was they mind fucked me, put me in the hallway, and let me sit there and think about it for a while. And a 13, 14-year-old kid came by on a stretcher. He got in a major car accident and he had a halo. So they came back out and said, okay, tough guy wrestler, you see that 13-year-old kid that just got a halo on, you going to do it or what? And I said, that's when I, said, yeah, put the halo on me. I don't want to die. I don't want to be paralyzed. So, I mean, I didn't even sneeze for like 4 days because I didn't know what was wrong with me, And I saw that little kid do it. And that's when I looked at the doc and said, okay, take me down there because they put that on you and you're wide awake. You're not underneath anesthesia or nothing. I mean, it's like being in a Saw movie, put it that way.
I can relate. I had my jaw broke in a match several years ago. You're only asleep long enough in that for them to get the rods put in. Then they wake you up because you have to bite down for them to lock the wires up. And it's the creepiest feeling in the world. You're sitting there and you go to wake up, your hands are strapped down because your first instinct is to go to your mouth.
Yes.
And the doctor told me, well, now that you're awake, we can finish. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Normally surgeries, when I wake up, we're done.
Like putting the halo on, they keep you awake because once they get it set, and it's 6 pounds of pressure each bolt in your skull. So I had 24 pounds of pressure squeezing my skull. And they have to take an x-ray. And if that x-ray is off just a little bit, they have to take them out and redo it again. So that's why they don't put you to sleep. You have to be awake for that. And it's kind of insane because, like you said, you got all these doctors. I had like 7, 8 doctors doing it, working on me. Their pagers are going off. This is going off. And, I'm losing my shit. I'm snapping out and they're saying, get this fucking thing on me because I got to get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? And then once they put it on me, my whole body locked up. Like it was hard for me to even stand. So it took about 6 hours for my body to like relax and get used to having that on my skull with the pressure. I mean, I didn't even sleep for the first 10 days I had it on.
I could imagine.
It's pretty intense.
Good Lord. On a happier subject, on a happier note here, Gary, what would you say is the best story you have seen told in a wrestling ring? Not necessarily a match, but the psychology of what is being told in the ring.
Woo! I'm a big Japanese fan. I've been going to. I started at the Monster Factory in '88. I was in Japan by 91. I'm a big fan of like Tiger Mask, Dynamite Kid. There's been so many great matches. I mean, the fucking Mick Foley and the Undertaker, the Hell in a Cell. I mean, that in itself was like him flying off the top of that cage. I mean, and I know Mick Foley, and I was just looking at it, him doing that, saying to myself, he's gonna die. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I really, because I'm a wrestling fan, it's just hard for me. Another match would be Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. They're brothers, so you can imagine the psychology in their matches. I mean, me personally, I had unbelievable matches with Thunder Justin Liger. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we would do 45-minute matches in Japan, and just doing that and learning from them guys, it just made me a better worker. And But my fondest match was my first time ever leaving the country. We went to New Zealand, and it was the American Pitbulls versus the British Bulldogs. And that was like, that opened my eyes. And they also gave us the test, you know what I'm saying? You know, can you do this? And literally, they were going to beat our ass. They pretty much, when my manager Larry Sharp went across the locker room to get the finish, he came back. He had no finish. They told him, we're going to call it out there, you know. So it was a test, and I was only like 18, 19 years old at that time. We were very young when we got into business, me and my partner, and I'm like, looked at him and said, look, we didn't travel 30 hours to New Zealand to not go out in front of 55,000 people. You know what I mean? This is it. You know, they want to know if we got it or we don't. And we did a 45, 50-minute match, beat the living shit out of each other. Ended up having a great finish. The match was great. I woke up the next morning around 11 o'clock, like hurting like a motherfucker, man, because, you know, they wanted to hurt us. They wanted to see if we were tough enough to handle it, you know what I'm saying? Which I get, because I do the same thing. And I went across the hallway thinking that Larry Sharp's room was right there, but it wasn't. It was the Bulldogs. And the door was open, so when I walked in, I'm like, Larry! And I turn around, and it's them, you know, Davey Boy and Dynamite, and they look at me, and they're like, yeah! They were so happy, because they were already drinking. You know, they were drinking VO, and they probably got up 10 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock and started drinking. I got up at 11, but they hugged us. They go get your partner and get his ass over here. You know, they were trying to scare us. But then when we went over there, they got 2 more glasses out. We shared a drink together, and they welcomed us in the family of professional wrestling. And between them and the Wild Samoans and Cowboy Bob Orton and all the other tag teams like the Hart Foundations that we worked with, Rougeau Brothers and all them guys, the rumor got around that, hey, there's a new tag team. They're called the Pitbulls, and they're good. And the Samoans helped us. Kevin Sullivan helped us tremendously. Larry Sharp, King Curtis from Hawaii, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. You know, we got to be friends and very tight with them guys. And that helped our career, like, I mean, tremendously, you know.
So when you're not wrestling in the United States, that you'd mentioned New Zealand made me think of something. When you go outside the United States, like wrestling seems to be different in every country. Do you have to adapt anything that you're doing from the match structure to make it maybe get over more with a different audience?
Yeah, that was a specialty that the Pitbulls had. Our tag team was, we were able to wrestle any style, Mexican, Japanese hard style, American. We were able to adapt. Like if we were in the ring with the Bruise Brothers, okay, I'll give you an example. They're 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". You know, I'm 5'9", my partner's 5'10". You know, with boots, we're probably 5'10", 5'11". You have to change your style of wrestling. So instead of, like, if they shot me into a rope with a big boot, instead of ducking, I would do a roll. You know, this way I would be able to get up quicker. So by the time they turned around, I would take their head off with a clothesline. You see what I'm saying? So what the Pitbulls had was we were able to adapt to any style of wrestling. And I'll give you another example. We were the first tag team to wrestle Rey Mysterio Jr. and Juventud Guerrero in the United States. We were in New York City working for ECW. Conan had brought them into ECW, and we were in New York City. And I remember Paul Heyman came up to me and my partner and said, okay, you guys are working the luchadors from Mexico. And Conan brought them in. And I'm like, okay, where are they? And he pointed in the direction. And I'm like, dude, those guys look like they're 12 or 13 years old. I said, are you sure you're pointing to the right guys? And he's like, oh, absolutely. They wear masks. They're luchadors. So we had to adapt to that, which we already were in Japan. And so them high flying and doing all them high flying moves, it was a 5-star match.
And again, like that's a testament to how good you guys were as a tag team. Like being able to go out there and changing and working with who you're in the ring with. Sometimes you have tag teams that don't. They make you work their style and forget what you want to do.
No, well, you have to learn to adapt. They may not know strong style, so we work with them. It's just like everybody has different styles of wrestling. So what we were always taught was to learn to adapt because you never know who you're going to be in the ring with. You know what I'm saying? When you're in the ring with them, like Mexico, I had one guy tell me, okay, I'm going to shit you Kanye out of the ring. I'll go back in the ring. I'm going to come off the top, be on the 7th row. Okay, 7 rows. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm either going to die tonight or this kid's going to die. And I would go to the 9th row. And once I seen him take off, I go to the 8th. By the time I hit the 7th row, our chest would hit bang. He landed on his feet. I swear it felt like I landed on a pillow, man, and it was concrete. So it's just a matter of being able to adapt and, do different styles, and it makes life so much easier, bro. And as far as tag teams are concerned, there's many, many tag teams that are out there that people think they're unbelievable. But that's because they're over. Now, I look at a tag team and I see how they work together as a tag team. That's how I consider them being a great tag team. Like me and my partner, we grew up in the same town, went to the same school. We've known each other our whole lives. So when he's out of the ring, I'm out. When we both get in the ring, we both get in the ring at the same time. That's how, like if I'm power bombing somebody, he's power bombing somebody on the other side of the ring. And that to me is a good tag team because it's like he knows what I'm thinking and I know what he's thinking.
I absolutely agree with all of that. Now, one thing I got to ask, because I get a lot of people that ask for me to ask these questions to the wrestlers. ECW had a history of being the Wild Wild West. What would you say that you can safely share is the craziest story from ECW in your time there?
We were maniacs, man. There is not ever going to be a locker room like the ECW. I mean, we were partying like animals. We would go on road trips, in the Sandman van. We'd have like Van Dam with us, Sabu, Fonzie. We would fill the van, Rick Rude, and Sandman would have a bottle of vodka sitting literally right there on his dashboard, and not even care. You know what I mean? As far as the most craziest thing I've ever seen, it was my angle when people were jumping the guardrail with the white heat. I mean, I've never seen that before. And I mean, Shane Douglas thought he got shot or stabbed because they were punching him and kicking him, and he was just trying to save Francine from getting hurt. The craziest thing probably was when the Man Transit incident, when New Jack, very, very, very close friend of mine. We were so tight. People don't even realize. We would contact each other every week after ECW just to make sure we were both okay. I mean, the week he died, I did a signing with him in New York, And then we were flying out to California that weekend, and he died that Thursday. So, but watching the kid lie in Connecticut and say he's a worker because his dad was a mayor of the town, and then him going up to, which you never do, going up to New Jack and saying, I got to get color, but I don't know how to do it. Can you do it for me? You tell New Jack to slice your head open, you're bound to be in some problems. You know what I'm saying? And that night was pretty, like, everybody at that point, we were all like, oh my God, is this guy dead? You know what I mean? Because Jack ripped him up, man. And then we come to find out he lied about everything. He never wrestled in his life, and, they tried to lock New Jack up for that, and he got off because, the kid, he lied about everything. Paul Heyman would have never put him on the show, but, he was respecting the town. The guy's a mayor. His son wanted to have the people in that town see him work. Come to find out, man, that guy never was trained a day in his life.
And he lied about his age. I think he was only 16, but he told the locker room he was 18.
He lied about his age too. So that was kind of like one of the craziest things because, I've seen guys come off a top rope with a drop kick and break their leg, besides Sid Vicious. I've seen many guys do that. You know what I mean? And that's scary as well when you see that happen. But the man transit was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's lore at this point. It's one of the most talked about stories in professional wrestling, especially out of ECW. Before we go ahead and wrap everything up here, Gary, you are running your own professional wrestling school, and I know I have people out there in the Florida area that are watching, listening in the Pennsylvania area as well that are willing to travel and learn from somebody that knows what the hell they're doing. Go ahead and tell these people about your school, Gary.
Yeah, it's called the Animal House. This is my 4th professional wrestling school. I've trained Antisocial, I trained Velvet Sky, Tread Acid, Wife Beater, the Backseat Boys. I used to have the Briscoes come to my schools, the SATs come to my school, because I am a tag team specialist. So we used to have all them come. Right now we are open in Brooksville, Florida on Route 50. It's a Pro Gear gym, it's called, hardcore gym. So not only do I have a wrestling school there, I have a gym because I'm old school. I want you tan and I want you big. You have to look the part of a wrestler. I'm tired of seeing these guys 155 pounds soaking wet doing moves and getting up that they should be dead from. You know what I'm saying? My rates I'm beating everybody's rates. When I went to wrestling school in '88, I paid $3,000 at the Monster Factory. I'm a Monster Factory graduate and became professional. So they're charging right now, people are charging $6,000 to $5,000 to learn how to be a wrestler. I'm charging $4,000. You can make payments. I'm doing Monday through Thursday from 6 to 9. We're going to be doing shows every month for student shows. And then every 3 months, we're going to do a big show. So not only are you going to learn how to work, you're going to learn the business inside and.
And then one thing I want to add on to this, for those out there watching, listening, however you're taking this podcast, if you're going to become a professional wrestler, do your homework and find a school that is reputable and is run by somebody that has the experience and knows what they're doing. They're not there to take your money. I would definitely recommend that you check out Gary's school. Go learn from somebody that has achieved at a high level, was a part of one of the biggest periods in professional wrestling for one of the top 3 companies in the United States for professional wrestling. Invest your money in a well-rounded education to become a professional wrestler.
You have to, because you could die. What we do, people, I hate when people say, "Oh, the F word." I broke my neck. I could have died. I mean, I was in Japan. And I was going against Hase and Sasaki. I think it was Hase had a heart attack. He died in the ring. Okay, they brought him back to life in the ring. They gave him CPR and brought him back. So anybody ever says wrestling's fake to me, I'll show them how fake it is when I put them through the concrete floor. Put it that way.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Heated Shenanigans Podcast. I want to thank again my extreme guest, Mr. Gary Wolfe, for taking time from his very busy schedule to join us on today's episode. It's been a true pleasure. And everybody, if you're watching the Super Bowl, be safe, enjoy it. Hopefully, if you're a fan, your team wins.
Yes, it should be a good Super Bowl. Also, WrestleMania is in Philadelphia this year, people. You know what that means. ECW is going to have the biggest show. It's going to be amazing, dude. It's going to be the best WrestleMania. If you can get there, go. April 5th, we're having a huge show. It's going to be the Pitbull Revolution against the Baldies. Street fight. There's many other matches that are going to be there. All ECW guys. We're going to be having a big party outside. There's also going to be a show at 1 o'clock, and then the ECW show comes on at 8 o'clock on Friday. Then you got your WrestleMania for Saturday and Sunday. So book your tickets now. Try to get hotels now. Try to get flights now, because it's only going to go up, man.
And airline prices right now are already ridiculous, so you definitely don't want to spend any more money than what you have to.
And I'll tell you right now, I bought my ticket yesterday, and I only paid $194. So people, get out there if you want to go see WrestleMania in Philadelphia, which I think is going to be one of the biggest WrestleManias, I think, to be honest with you. They're gonna do some special stuff.
Definitely going to be one of those moments you look back 10 years from now and remember that this was one of the top WrestleManias. Maybe the top. Who knows?
We'll see what happens. But like I said, they never had it in Philadelphia, and I think this is going to be a super, super.
Absolutely. Well, guys, everybody out there, take care, stay heated, and we will see you on the next episode of Heated Shenanigans Podcast.